without the blessing of the ERB. And the ERB looks at three subsectors to be specific: petroleum, electricity, and renewable energy. So these are the three subsectors that we regulate. And in doing so, we use the Energy Regulation Act number 12 of 2019, the Electricity Act number 11 of 2019, and the Petroleum Act Cap 435 of the laws of Zambia. So I'll delve down into the functions. What do we really do in regulating this energy space? We issue out licenses for utilities or companies that want to operate in the energy sector. For instance, if you want to open a filling station, you cannot do that without a license from the ERB. Or if you want to generate, distribute, or even transmit electricity, or even provide solar equipment, you would have to, in this space that we're in right now, you would have to get a license from the ERB. And we also receive complaints, investigate them, and determine them from consumers of energy products and services. So remember, I said we give companies the license to operate in this sector. But then once these companies are operational, obviously they'll be providing a service or a product, an energy service or a product in this case. So you, who's now, Jack, going to consume that product or service, you may sometimes find yourself in a situation where you need help in order to resolve a situation that could have occurred as you are consuming these services. So we do receive complaints, investigate them, and then give a position on them, which is a determination. Then also, what I'm here for today, we also disseminate information to the public for you to promote participation for the public in this provision of energy products and services. So it's a responsibility of ours to inform you about all the happenings in the sector so that you can participate in how they work. I just want to highlight this moment that we don't work alone. We obviously work with other agencies who are sector regulators in order to provide a holistic service into the sector. For instance, we work with CCPC, which is the competition authority, to ensure that there's fair competition among the licensees that operate in the energy sector. We also work with ZABS to ensure that the standards of the products that are in the energy sector are as per the agreed law and standards. And then we also work with ZEMA, which is the Environmental Agency Management, which again in ensuring that the environment is safe, even as we are promoting and utilizing the services and the infrastructure that is set up in the energy sector. One thing that I would also want to highlight is what we are known for, setting tariffs and charges in the energy sector. I know you know that every month we set the price of fuel, but we also know that we are the ones that set the tariff at which maybe the utilities, for instance, ZESCO, will sell the electricity at. So basically, holistically, that is what we do for our functions as well as our mandate of regulating the energy space.
When you talked about the issuance of licenses, what are some of the requirements? Because some people might ask, they think that it is one sector that is reserved for foreigners. So who is eligible to apply if they want to have a filling station? Or
basically anyone who meets the criteria, which we normally would give you when you're applying for a specific license, because each specific license has got certain criteria that you have to meet for you to be able to apply for that license. So for instance, if you want to apply for a license in the petroleum subsector, let's say you want to set up a filling station, the first point of contact you'd have to go to is ZEMA, obviously, to get what we call an environment assessment brief. So that environment assessment brief is a document that will say, is it safe for you to set up that infrastructure in that place? Once you get that, you also need to get authority from the council, the local authorities, to say again that that land indeed is commissioned for that particular infrastructure. So you also have to get a license from you have to get also clearance from the RDA. So there are certain steps that you have to take. By the time you're coming to ERB to apply for your license in the sector, there are certain parameters that you would have gotten an approval from to come. Then with us, you're just supposed to have to put your financial statement in that application, fill in certain details, pay a license fee, which is very minimal. And also you would have to obviously have proof of the company that you indeed are operating in that space and you've got the financial capability. So your financial statements, like I said, you would have to put obviously the certification requirement, the paperwork from PACRAD, and all the details of what it is that you want to go into specifically. So we have a licensing department that when somebody wants to apply for a license in the ERB, they would have to go to and get the details of the specific kind of licenses, which will give them the conditions of how they'll be able to operate in the sector.
Okay, that's fine.
But it's open for everybody who qualifies.
So the same applies when it comes to the power supply.
Exactly, the process is the same, except that now I'm happy to say that with the renewable, because right now we're going through a drought, where we have an energy crisis in the country. So with renewable, in terms of you wanting to bring in a solar equipment and all, right now, if it's for own use for your home, you want to import that into the country, you only need to fill in a declaration form at the border post. There's no need for you to get a license with the ERB. It's just a declaration form that you fill in at the border, and you'll be allowed to bring in your equipment. Reason being, obviously, we're in a crisis right now, and we have to have emergency situations, speak to the emergency situation and not prolong the process, because there's a need right now for a switch to alternative sources of energy. So with that, the process has been simplified. There's no need for you to come to ERB to apply for a license, but when you reach the border post, there's a declaration form that you have to fill in, and you'll be allowed to bring your equipment in. But I must mention, this is for self-use, not for business. But for business, again, we've still simplified the process, and you just have to quickly get into within 48 hours, you'll be given approvals for you to bring in your products into the country, even away from self-use.
That's fine. Okay, so why does the ERB have to protect consumers in the energy sector? Let's talk about the energy sector. We start with in the petroleum industry.
So the energy sector, like I said, comprises of the petroleum, the electricity, and the renewables. So, like I said, you are consuming a service or you are consuming a product, right? In the petroleum subsector, you'll be buying fuel, for instance. In the electricity subsector, you'll be buying units. So you are buying a service for electricity, isn't it? Yes. So why is it important that you're protected? When you look at the way the sector is made, there's an information asymmetry between you, the consumer, and the person who's selling you that product. The one who's selling you the product has more understanding of the product that they are selling, isn't it? So, and they're the ones who have given a license to sell you that product. So they have the responsibility to ensure that they sell you the correct product that will meet your needs as a consumer. So in an instance where that need is not met, where do you go for help? That is how we come in as the ERB. So when you buy, let's say you buy units, you bought for 500 kwacha, and then you receive less than what is supposed to be for 500 kwacha. It means somewhere there's a problem. Maybe your meter is not working properly. So that company is supposed to resolve that situation. And when they don't, we ERB have to step in to say your license states that you will resolve the complaint for the consumer. So why has this issue not been resolved? Or for instance, you pay for connection for your house after you've finished building, and you're not connected within the number of days that you've been promised to be connected as per service charter. They have said we'll connect you in 90 days, for instance, and then that is not done. Where do you go for resolution? Obviously, the ERB then comes in to intervene on your behalf, because we are the ones who ensure that those companies must meet the requirements of their licenses, which say provide a service to jack. Or for instance, you buy petrol, they put diesel, accidentally your engine is damaged. Who do you run to for help? So that company is meant to resolve your complaint, because if they were at fault, maybe their fuel attendant wasn't paying attention, he dispensed the wrong product, they're supposed to resolve that complaint. Now, in a case where they say it's your fault, where do you go? So because of that, we have to strike a balance between you, the consumer, and the service provider by making sure that they meet the requirement of their license, and you also get benefit and value for your money.
So you are like you are playing a role for a court. So
we are the referee.
So you can only proceed to take a court action if maybe you fail to act on the complaint.
If you are not happy with the way we've resolved the issue, yes, you are free to take it to the next level of resolution. For us, obviously, we'll look at the merits of the case. We'll see what role did the company play when this incident was happening. Also, what did you do as a consumer? I'll give you a classic example. We have sometimes issues of petroleum. Somebody comes to complain to say, no, they put the wrong fuel in my vehicle. We'll also ask you, the time they were dispensing, what were you doing? Because there are certain do's and don'ts that you go to a filling station, pay attention. These days these cars have changed. It's not automatically because it's a big car, then it's a diesel car, or because it's a small car, it's a petrol car. So it's always important you also communicate to the petrol attendant, petrol. And they're also supposed to tell you starting. And also we're always teaching that the purple nozzle is diesel, the green nozzle is petrol. So pay attention to which nozzle the person
So maybe
has
that's
used.
why the problem is, because mostly even myself, I don't pay attention to the color code.
Yes.
I didn't even know about that one. I just say, okay, it's purple. It's
Yeah, so paper is
never
always
clicked in my
diesel.
mind.
Yes, paper is always diesel. Green is always it's petroleum. So you need to pay attention to that when they are putting. And when they say starting, see on the meter that indeed they've started from zero, because someone you complain and say no, they didn't start from zero. I think they've given me less fuel. So there are all these complaints. But what is your role? Why are you talking on the phone when you're supposed to be paying attention to the person who's attending to your vehicle? So we'll look at the merits. And when there's a dispute, there's footage at the filling station. So we'll be able to see what role did you play, and then we apportion the blame equally. When we see that indeed it was the problem of the company, the petroleum company, then again we have to ensure that they address your concern and resolve that complaint. But you're free to escalate to the next level if you're not happy with the position, the determination that will give as a board.
So you've touched on the issue of monitoring whatever is happening at the filling station out of interest. Is it mandatory that they put the cameras, CCTV at the filling station?
I will not delve into the specifics of what is mandatory and what is not mandatory, but of course, best practice requires that they for their own security purposes, they have cameras there. But that's best practice. Yeah, obviously they put the cameras for their security reasons and to ensure that there's no theft going on there. And if there was a theft, what would happen? But also it acts as a feature that helps in resolution of cases. In case there's a dispute between yourself and them, it can act as a source of proof in a court of law. So it's best practice that they put security features at their service stations.
So what are some of the complaints you receive, the common complaints that come through your office?
So a lot of them obviously would be to do with maybe contaminated fuel. Somebody would come and complain to say they put fuel, ever since I put fuel in from that filling station, my car is not, it's making a sound, or it's making noise, or sometimes displacement of the wrong product. It's somebody once supposed to put petrol, maybe accidentally they put diesel. So again, that is a complaint that we received. Delayed connections. You've finished your property and you want your house to be connected, but because maybe at that point the utility does not have the material, so there's a prolonged period before they come and connect you. Those are common complaints. Also, faulty meters. Sometimes the meter is not functioning properly in the house. Maybe so we receive those types of complaints. Yeah.
And let's talk about the issue of ZESCO when it comes to not following the schedule. Do you handle also such type of complaints? We are under a schedule, and you find people complaining they don't follow the schedule. They only follow the schedule when switching off the power, but when switching on the power, it becomes a big issue.
Okay, so as I earlier stated at the beginning of the program, I said we have a responsibility of consumer protection. Okay, and indeed, the issue of load shedding does fall under protecting you consumers to receive the best service that you can from the utility. Jack, the president earlier in the year declared a state of emergency with regards to the drought that we're going, that we are in an electricity deficit crisis right now. That has been brought about by the drought that we are facing. So we have this energy deficit. So yes, ZESCO has a responsibility to ensure that they provide electricity to the consumers. But because of the situation that we find ourselves in, we find that ZESCO now is struggling to meet the electricity requirement for the country. So what does that entail? Communication to the public of what is going on. So they are, as required by the ERB, to give you a schedule, which you are saying, yes, they do give a schedule, but sometimes it is not met. So they have a requirement to give you a schedule. But the next requirement, if there's any changes on that schedule, they're again meant to communicate. I don't know from where you're sitting there, but I can tell you from where I'm sitting here, there's been increased communication from ZESCO. with regards to what's happening at any given time. So yes, right now we've moved to a higher load shedding period, and I think there was an announcement to that effect to say this is what's going to happen because they are having importation challenges currently. I think where they're supposed to be importing some power from, I think, the Namibia, there's an importation issue that is going on currently. But besides that, I think they also communicated to say that Mamba Collieries, I think, has gone into a maintenance up to, I think, September 15th. So because of that, we are working with very limited power. And so they've given us sort of like almost three hours of power to ensure that we're able to, pump our water and do the necessary things that need to be done for us to continue calling upon you, Jack, included in the picture, to educate the public that this is not the desired portfolio that we should have as a country, but it's the situation that we have found ourselves in. And we have to work together to ensure that we go through this crisis together by being a little more understanding and a little more patient and tolerant of the communication that is coming your way. No one wants to be in the dark. You must understand that. And also, it's time to switch to what we're saying, alternative sources of energy. Let's look at how we can utilize gas right now in order to, not be so stressed. And also, let's see what can we do with solar right now to help us, again, manage the current situation that we are in. So we're calling upon you to communicate the switch to alternative sources. Let's get solar geysers so that at least we have hot water.
And you're talking about the solar equipment. Government removed some taxes from those solar operators, but the benefit is not being passed to the consumers. Have you taken interest in this issue? Because
yes, definitely. From a regulatory perspective, we are looking at two things. We are looking at having this product available in the country. As a regulator, remember, we are not the ones buying these products. But we need to create an environment where these products are able to come in so that you, Jack, and the consumers are able to access them. So the first point government has done is to remove tax, to zero rate the tax. Why is government doing that? It's so that people are able to import these things and bring them into the country at a cheaper rate. Obviously, the process is slow. It's not a very cheap venture for individuals. But it's something, as we are working and putting in the different mechanisms, it's becoming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper because you see, it's about the issue of supply and demand. The more a product is in the country, the cheaper it becomes. So right now we're trying to get this product into the country so that you and I can be able to access it cheaply. But also from a regulatory perspective, we're also looking at the quality and the standard of that product. We don't want your houses to be burnt. We don't want your houses to be ruined by problematic products that are coming into the country. So we have to ensure that even as the products are coming in, they are of the correct quality and standard, and also calling upon you to utilize trained, correct, approved installers to install these things as you are buying them. And because remember, your house costs you a lot of money to build. So you must make sure that even the person you're bringing to come and install this mechanism to work side by side with the ZESCO operations in your home, they must install the correct wiring, they must put the right KVs that you need to function in your home, and you must get a professional who's certified. Don't just pick somebody on the street, otherwise you cause a catastrophe. So ours is to make sure that the product is into the country, and if it is into the country, also what is the quality of that product and who is installing that product.
Okay, now let's get back to the petroleum sector. And of course, every first day of the month, people become anxious, waiting the announcement of the new price, whether it increases or it drops. So what do you consider when revising fuel prices upwards or downwards? And what's the objectives of the monthly fuel price review?
I smile when I'm answering that question because for a long time we're really being talked about ERB and petroleum, and now it's ERB and electricity.
Yeah.
So there's been a shift, but I'm glad you've taken us back to that question because again, Zambia does not produce oil. It's a product that is imported from outside the country. And in that importation, it implies that there's an international price that is pegged on that product from where you're buying it from. So firstly, what is the price of that product when you procure it? The international price of oil on the market. Then secondly, the exchange rate of the kwacha to the dollar, because when you are buying something you use the foreign currency, and in this case, we use the United States dollar. So there are two fundamentals that basically affect how has the kwacha performed in that month with regards to the exchange rate. Has it appreciated? Has it depreciated? Because if it has appreciated, it means it's stronger and you're able to buy the product cheaply if the product is also slightly cheap on the market in that particular period. But if imagine the kwacha has appreciated, meaning you need more dollars to be able to buy that product, and then you find that that product is also more expensive, it means that it will affect it upwards or downwards. It's like, I'll give an example. I like to give an example of, I don't know here, but in Lusaka, we have a problem of tomato in rain season. Lava tomato yaisa dulanga in short supply, and then gaya cheaper, ilafika na pa 50, gaya na idula ilafika pa 350, but gaya cheaper ilafika na 50 kwacha. So now imagine ulashtisha, you are a person who's selling this product. Why am order? Wasanga tina idula ilipa 350. Tell me, walaisa wishtisha pa 350, lapina walaisa wishtisha shinganga waisa mkushtisha. I don't think washita pa 350 walaisa wishtisha exactly 350 kwacha. Because ufile wapanga poka profit akanono for you to be able to go back and buy it again. So when you find it cheaper again, waisanga na cheaper ilipa 200. It means no mtengo lesa mshtisha. Ufile wa cheaper pantu na waisanga it's a bit cheaper. So ni chimo chine. Petrol is a product. So balaya mkuya mukoda. Then gabasanga mtengo na ukosako. Epala mamona, looking at the two fundamentals, the exchange rate and the price, then we're able to adjust. Our role as ERB, therefore, mafuta iyo. The different companies that are regulated by us, our role is to make sure that the price that they'll sell you at is a fair, cost-reflective price. Their price, they become prices, whereby they're making huge profits at the expense of you, the consumer. Our role is to make sure that yourself, Jackie, how much are you paying? How much little profit are they making, so that next time they go back and bring that product? Because if they keep making losses and we're not putting a price that takes into consideration how much they bought it at, then even you who are fileka, you won't bring that product. Then we'll have a shortage of the product in Zambia. So we have to make sure that the price is right to allow them to make a little profit, but at the same time not to exploit you as a consumer. And to also make sure that even Chilumbi Airline is buying at the same price as someone who's in Mansa, someone who's in Lusaka, someone who's in Ndola.
Is that being applied uniform pricing?
Uniform pump pricing. Okay. So that is the reason why you have uniform pump pricing across the country, because we regulate to ensure that the pricing takes care of all the different needs, including transportation. So the price, the way we place it is such that it will take care of different aspects that cater to the different suppliers in the chain.
I think the challenge might be the issue of planning. They cannot plan well, that every month they expect some changes, fluctuations in terms of the pricing. And I remember the president also suggested that you look at that issue. How far have you gone regarding that issue of monthly fuel pricing?
Indeed, I would say it's not the ideal. It's not the best plan to be doing it monthly, but it is what is the best for this moment that we are in, because the product has to be self-procuring. It has to keep buying itself for it to be available. So we are continuing to look at different mechanisms, and the government is still looking at finding a supplier who will be able to supply us with a stable price in the longer run. The minister did mention it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, if we can find the right supplier who will be able to meet those conditions of stabilizing it for 3 months. But for now, we continue to do the best we can as we are looking into the directive from the president.
Okay, now let's talk about those who are involved in, they don't have licenses from ERB, but they are able to procure fuel in large quantities. They store it in their homes, they sell it in the streets. What's your comment over those who deal in fuel illegally?
So you're talking about illegal fuel vendors.
Yes.
So someone must break the law and it's okay. Is that what you're asking? So again, everyone who's supposed to sell a product in the energy sector, of that petroleum in this case, must get a license from the ERB, like I earlier mentioned. Illegal fuel vending is actually a crime. Why? Look at it from two perspectives. It's a danger. First of all, fuel is a very highly inflammable product, okay? And must be stored in the right conditions and in the right temperature and in the right state and in the right container. So if you're going to buy fuel in a jerrycan, a plastic jerrycan, and you put it in your house, a little spark, a fire, you lose your entire property and you also lose your life. That is not worth it. Okay, and it is illegal because we are supposed to safeguard the interest of our consumers. And also, Mr. Jack, you're not protected. Because if you buy this fuel from a person on the street, how do you know the quality of that product that that person is selling? Because someone could have changanya petrol and kerosene and given you to put in your car because you can't tell the difference. Okay, so that person is selling a product that we cannot vouch for. Okay, because we don't know what they could have done to that product to make it a lot. And then they put in your car, you've invested in this nice car or this nice machine, and then it is damaged. You come and complain to the ERB, where are we going to find that illegal vendor? Because they're on the street. So it is. But not only that, your life is not safe. You who's selling, we've had a number of instances. We had one in Mazabuka where somebody got burnt because they had fuel in their house. It's supposed to be stored in an approved state by the ERB, in approved containers. And so if you're selling it to the public, then you must have a license to sell to the public. So it is illegal, and we work with the police. We also work with the DEC, and we arrest with the help of those institutions, and we confiscate, and those things are done away with. So you will lose only your capital, you also lose your freedom. So it is against the law.
What about, out of interest, I wanted to ask this question. There are situations whereby you can't just, your vehicle has run out of fuel and you want to buy, it can't move up to the filling station. Are you allowed to buy in a container? Like you go to the filling station, you go and buy
Are you
fuel.
saying lack of planning on your part should be an excuse to do an illegal thing? Again,
like you go to
again, fuel is a highly inflammable product that must be stored in an approved container. So if your car, if you know that you forget to put fuel in the morning, invest in a properly approved metal jerrycan, recommended approved jerrycan, for you to be able to use that one to go and buy the fuel, put it in there and take it back to your car. They are approved jerrycans, the metallic ones, not that plastic chikungubiti. No, not that one. And so if you know that then invest into the right jerrycan, so that if you find yourself in a situation where you can go and buy freely in an approved thing. And I must mention that we will charge the filling station for even selling you the product in the container. But even you, if we find you, will also work with RATSA to make sure they deal with you. But on our end, Nishimabika filling station Yuma problems, because then we know they are breaking the law and the license condition that has been set.
Okay, we are still talking to Namkolo, the Manager Public Relations, ERB, and we are talking about issues to do with the Energy Regulation Board, its mandate, its role it is playing in Zambia's energy sector. Now, let's get back to the issue of load shedding. What is the ERB's message with regard to mitigating the effects of load shedding, if you have the word for the consumers out there?
Yes, I do. I think I had mentioned it earlier when you touched on the same question with regard to load shedding. We are in a crisis situation, and so we are calling upon all of us to work together and have a shift of mindset to obviously looking at how we can best use alternative sources of energy to be able to continue with our day-to-day lives. There are short-term, there are medium-term and long-term measures that the government is putting in place to ensure that we never find ourselves in this situation again. But right now, our call upon yourselves is that you've been given a number of hours, you've been given the information by ZESCO with regards to how the load shedding is being managed. There's a communication on a daily basis. Let's pay attention to that communication so that we can, whenever we do have the power, we can store water, we can also do what we need to do, but most importantly, let's look at switching to LPG, the use of liquefied petroleum gas. Let's look at the switch to solar so that we can continue to to thrive and continue to meet our daily needs. And in fact, if you, Mr. Jack, you do put solar in, at your home, you may even be able to sell to ZESCO, back to ZESCO, on what we are calling the net metering plan. So with net metering, if you produce enough power to power your home and you've got excess, you actually have an opportunity to give that power back to ZESCO so that you can have a net effect with regards to your bill. You'll find yourself, you'll be paying a lesser bill because you're also selling back your power to ZESCO. So these are just opportunities for us that we can all look to. It's not an easy time that we're in, and the government does not take it lightly. We're doing everything we can to ensure that we continue to function as best as we can under the circumstances.
You mentioned about working together with the consumers out there. How best can we help you deliver quality service towards the consumers? We have the right products. What role can we play as the consumers out there?
I think you, as a consumer, you obviously should report where you see abuse of certain things. For instance, you see a tanker on the road, it has parked, and somebody is decanting fuel, trying to sell to illegal fuel vendors, which we talked about earlier. As a responsible consumer who wants to ensure that there's quality products in the country, please report that to the ERB, so that, and get the license plate of that tanker, and report the people who are doing that, so that we can help you to make sure that the quality of fuel that is being sold is not compromised. Like I said, with illegal fuel vending, the quality can be changanyad and you will not be able to know. While yes, that petrol at the filling station, we can go there right now, do an inspection, and we'll know the quality of the fuel that is being sold because we mark that fuel when it enters the country. There's a biochemical marker that is in there that ensures that the quality is not compromised. But the moment you get it out of the tanker there, you start putting in your containers, that person selling can't do anything. So we won't be able to help you. But also, again, when you see construction of things in wrong places, feel free to you please comment. Call us and complain if it's an illegal structure that is coming up that you know that we is in the provision of, they're trying to provide energy services of some sort. Call the ERB and lodge in your complaint. And then also when we put up the different companies put up notice boards. I'm sure sometimes you see when there's a filling station coming up or there's a building that's about to come up. Normally they'll put a billboard to say this is what's about to be built in this place. That's an opportunity for you to comment to say we're not happy with this or we're happy with this. Please participate, because it is you again who gets affected with whatever is put there in the place. So for us to be able to help you, you also need to take responsibility of some of the things that are happening around you. When you're in a bus, you reach a filling station, they tell you get off the bus. Please just get off the bus. Don't start being smart and saying all sorts of things. Remember, a bus has only one exit. So when we say for many, it's because we want to protect you. There's basically nothing but safeguarding your interests. So come out the bus, go and stand a few meters away so that and your life is saved.
Okay, so what's the complaints procedure? How do I lodge a complaint to ERB?
So basically, when you find yourself in a situation, I'll start with, let's say, the petroleum subsector. Let's say your engine wrong fuel has been put in your car, or maybe you feel that the fuel that's there is not the right fuel. Maybe it's been contaminated with something, water or anything. Immediately complain to the service provider, the same filling station, but also at the same time complain to ERB. Remember, fuel is a fast-moving product. So because it's fast, you can find that 10 cars are damaged in this. But when you complain immediately, it allows us to quickly go on site and do a test to allow so that fuel stops being sold immediately. And that way you protect a lot of people at once. So with those types of complaints, you can complain right away at the ERB or at the filling station, and also at the filling station. But other complaints, the natural process is first start with the people who have wronged you, or who you feel have aggrieved you in this instance. If you feel ZESCO has done something wrong, or you feel that filling station has done something wrong, complain to them first. They have a complaint mechanism that they're supposed to address. And when you now see that they've passed the stage of resolving your complaint, then escalate to the ERB so that we are also able to. It doesn't stop you from coming to complain, but normally we don't ask you what's your complaint number, because they're supposed to give you a complaint number, especially let's say it's ZESCO. So it's okay, what's your complaint number? We'll follow it up for you. So the starting point is always complain with the service provider, and then escalate to the ERB. And you can complain with us. You can walk into our offices. I know in Kasama we don't have an office, but we've got in Mansa we don't have an office, but we have an office in Kasama, which looks at the Mansa complaints. So you can even call us using our toll-free line, which is 8484. We'll be able to take down your complaint. You can write a letter to us. And we've also got a Facebook page. You can inbox us on our Facebook, or you can even say, on our Facebook, you can say, I have a complaint, and we'll come to your inbox so that we don't flag the page. We'll come to your inbox and tell us, okay, give us this, give us your complaints details. We'll be able to attend to it.
I love the interview. Any closing remarks? Anything that you would want to share with the listeners out there?
Indeed, I'd like to share two things. The first thing being that we are currently in Mansa. I came specifically to come and share with you information about the ERB. So we have a team on the ground. They are going through various places, marketplaces, and other communities, just to give you more information and to take down any complaints that you may be having in Mansa with regards to products and services in the energy sector. Tomorrow, we'll also be doing a sensitization at Mansa Secondary School just to educate the pupils who are our future leaders with regards to energy-related matters. So, and then secondly, I'd also like to say that, we have zero tolerance to corruption as ERB. So we have an integrity committee as an ERB, and if you feel there are any officers when they're conducting inspections, coming to the different filling stations, and if you feel that maybe we don't do it in a manner that has integrity, you can report anyone to us using the integrity committee team at the ERB, and we'll be able to look at the issues internally. So we want to assure the public that working night and day to regulate the energy sector with integrity, and they should have faith in interest to safeguard interest.
You are a meter person.
Eh,
I was not worried.
you're not right.
Why should I worry? Why should I worry?